Do you have a spicy take for us today?
I don't think it's super spicy. I don't think the ATF should exist, but nothing in specific. We do have our FFL and SOT, so there's a lot of things that I think are dumb and I hate, and it's most things that the ATF comes out with. Yeah, nothing in specific, but.
So I have a question. Has there ever been a time where you thought that your age was a disadvantage in the industry, or have you kind of considered it an advantage in the industry?
I would say both as we grow and I learn different parts. Obviously, starting out, I thought it was a disadvantage. I didn't think people would take me seriously. When we started, I knew nothing about business. It was kind of a learn as we go and trial and error type of thing. So I thought that was a disadvantage. And obviously, I'm sure I've lost deals or weren't able to close deals because I didn't have the right paperwork done or form set up. But I think that was just a lack of knowledge, not necessarily my age. And where it comes to an advantage, I think when it comes into the play of social media and everything, because I grew up around it, I knew how it worked, was constantly on it. So I think in that aspect, it would be an advantage.
I think I've got one for you.
Yeah.
How do you fight back with the traditional people who don't like your product, who think rubber targets may be dumb? How do you fight that kind of pushback to beat the establishment of paper and steel to get into that market?
Yeah, I think there's people you're never going to change their minds. They're set on their ways. But obviously the ones that are on the line, there's always a pain point somewhere. Maybe they don't like the weight of steel targets, or they hate going through paper targets, or where they're at, it's windy and they hate chasing them in the wind. It's always attacking those pain points. Obviously you're not going to change someone's mind if they're set in their ways and if you don't have the money for infinity targets, hey, paper targets still work. They've worked for years. They're not going to stop working. We just brought a better solution to the market. But yeah, that's pretty much where I would go with that. I did think of an ATF gripe. Definitely the brace ban. It makes no sense to me. Now half the braces nowadays are rigid enough to be a stock, and I really don't understand where the gray lines are in that. And then just the fact that receivers can be firearms, so you can buy every single part to a firearm and have it shipped to your door except one piece, and then you can just go to the store and get it, and then you can assemble it.
Yeah. We've never talked on that.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up the pistol brace. I think everybody in this room right now is in agreement that the pistol brace ban was, first off, unconstitutional by a body that just decides when it wants to make rules whenever.
Yeah.
Somebody who passed it and then said no, and then this, and all the in between. Also, at the same time, I think the pistol brace brand the pistol brace market has really proved that the SBR laws are stupid.
Yeah.
Listen, I was just talking about this weekend with Stephen Williford, who everybody knows Stephen Williford. The laws, he's like, yeah, I had a friend who built an AR pistol and got in trouble. And I was like, well, what did he get in trouble for? Well, it didn't meet the 26 overall inch length, or it was too long. I was like, well, yeah, that doesn't make sense because it's a pistol. And then you're trying to understand, even I've had people who've come up to me who've been like, I built this 14.5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, that's awesome. And they're like, yeah, I'm all legal and blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, yeah, you pinned and welded it? And they're like, what do you mean you pinned and welded it? It's so asinine that because, a pin and weld makes it 2 more inches when 14.5 is a standard barrel length now.
Yeah.
It shouldn't make it in 2 inches shouldn't make it in SBR. 2 inches is this big. It's not that big. But just to think that for somebody like you and I and Kailey who have been in this fight for so long and know that a 14.5 with a pin and weld muzzle brake makes it a legal firearm. But think about the millions of Americans who just saw 14.5 became hot, 14.5 upper. They're like, I want the shortest package I can get. which everybody wants. You want a nice compact package. Not understanding the laws, not understanding that, and now potentially being felons without even knowing it. Just like the pistol brace ban. The pistol brace ban, the ATF made millions of firearms owners felons overnight. The estimated number is 10 to 60 million. It's estimated because, it's ridiculous. And just like you said, I can order all the parts. I can have everything shipped to my door, but the receiver.
Yeah, so if you build your own and you just order 14.5 because that's mainstream.
Right. And if you follow the definition by the ATF, which they set with the receiver for an AR-15, the lower receiver is not technically meet the definition of a receiver.
Right.
And it's ridiculous that's what they deem to be the serialized item. I should be able to order everything to my house and have it there and built just like the Founding Fathers intended.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where you have a non-elected bureaucracy that is bloated and rogue, making and defining things in a way that is often convoluted, very difficult to find, and ultimately goes against a constitutionally protected right. And the problem that I think most Americans have with members of Congress and with the ATF and with the federal government in general and often the state government is that they want to pretend that the Constitution is the government granting rights. But it is not government granting rights. It's government protecting rights. And if you look at all of the great firearms manufacturers, all of the great thinkers that have created the firearms that we know and love, it all started by them building them at home, right? Yeah. They had to come up with the ideas, the designs, and anytime that you're limiting that innovation, you're also hurting, what growth we would see in the industry.
People like you, me, and Elijah have been in this for so long. We understand the laws and everything. We have so many new gun owners who may not understand it and get advice that they may not know or not know how to find the right thing. And that education and outreach from companies like Infinity Defense and like GOA is what we need to do to help them to understand that, hey, because even when you talk to a new gun owner, and this is my favorite example, I had a last job I worked at, I had a girl who was in our office who was not a gun person, didn't know anything about guns. So I was like, okay, I'm going to explain this to you in the simplest way I can understand. Here's a 16-inch broom. It's a legal broom. Now I'm going to cut 2 inches off of it. Now it's a 14-inch broom. Now it's an illegal short barrel broom.
Unless you pay me $200.
Unless you pay me, now I have to pay $200 to have my short broom. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense. It's only like 1.5 inches. I was like, yeah, but if I cut it down to like 12 inches and put a broom brace on the end of it, now it's a pistol broom. And she's like, wait a minute, but you just said earlier that was an illegal broom. Oh, yeah, well, it gets even better. Now I have my shotgun broom. And that's an 18-inch shotgun broom, but if I cut it down to under 18 inches, now it's an illegal shotgun broom, and I've got to pay the government $200. But if I make it 26 overall inches and I never put a stock on it and put a little grip on it, now it's any other broom. And she looks at me and she's like, these laws make no sense. And from a person who doesn't understand the firearms, who's learning, for them to go, what do you mean? This makes no sense, spoke a lot to me because that is what we're dealing with.